Tuesday, San Francisco voters will decide whether to recall 3 school board members. KPIX5's John Ramos was at a Get Out the Vote rally where supporters wanted to send the message that the will of the people should not be ignored.
It may be a matter of bad timing, but the 3 school board members up for recall managed to pick a fight with a number of different groups, all at a time when voters are demanding more accountability from their elected officials.
Call the school board, thank you.
Recall supporters lined both sides of 19th Avenue in San Francisco today, asking for honks, just as they are asking for votes to recall SF-USD board members Gabriela Lopez, Alison COLLINS, and Fauga Maliga.
It is true that voters put these school board members into office, but I think voters are having regret, and they're waking up to realizing they need to pay more attention.
Just like most districts, SF-USD did not have a very good experience with distance learning during the early stages of the pandemic.
Our kids were at home, they were suffering from distance learning, we were watching everything on Zoom, we were working at home, and we started watching very carefully, and we were horrified by what we saw.
But in the middle of that, the board pressed ahead with a bizarre plan to rename dozens of schools that a citizens panel deemed offensive, including Abraham Lincoln and George Washington high schools.
They were so certain they were right, they didn't care about the facts, they didn't care about the truth, they didn't care what all of us were saying, and they simply plowed ahead, and they reaped a whirlwind.
And then last year, in a failed attempt to force inclusion, the board tried to end merit-based admission at Lowell High School, one of the city's highest performing schools. That decision energized the Asian American community to join the recall effort.
Especially an insult to the Asian American community, because that was squarely aimed at too many Asians at Lowell. That's exactly what the sentiment is, and they might as well have said it outright, which they essentially did.
There may be separate issues motivating them, but all the recall supporters say they don't feel they're being listened to by elected officials. And in today's volatile political atmosphere, that is a dangerous minefield for any politician to wander into.
Across the country, we now see considerable degree of anger and discontent on all forms of political debate, and the pressure to have anger and get response to that anger is really motivating a lot of people.
In San Francisco, John Ramos, KPIX5.
Voters will decide whether to recall any or all of the 3 board members in individual votes. The other 4 members of the school board had not yet served enough of their terms to be legally eligible for a recall.